All right, well, thank you for being here, showing up to this Spanish Club presentation of this film, Without Saying Goodbye. My name is Dr. Anton Garcia Fernandez, and I teach all levels of Spanish here at UT Martin. And I'm just going to give you a very brief presentation, 5 minutes more or less, so that you have an idea of what this movie is about. I will not reveal anything, but I'll just tell you a little bit about it before we play it in Spanish with English subtitles. The movie's called Without Saying Goodbye. In Spanish, Hasta que nos volvamos a ver. It's a movie from 2022. And in Spanish, the meaning is not really without saying goodbye, but until we meet again. It's a Peruvian-Spanish film written and directed by Bruno Ascenzo, who's a Peruvian director that up to now has worked mostly on television, both as an actor and also as a director. And we have two main characters in this film, Salvador y Ariana, and they are played by two actors that have also worked primarily on television up to this point. We have Maxi Iglesias, who's playing Salvador. He's from Spain, and he has been featured in popular Spanish TV shows such as Velvet and Valeria, among others. And then we have Stephanie Cayo, whose sisters are also actors and who has studied acting here in the United States. She's very popular in countries such as Peru and Colombia because of his work on telenovelas. And I'm sure you know that telenovelas are Spanish language soap operas. She's also a singer, and she has released several songs on Spotify and on other platforms, and you'll actually hear her singing in the movie because it includes some scenes that spotlight her singing. As I said, the original title in Spanish, Hasta que nos volvamos a ver, means until we meet again, and that refers to an expression for goodbye, for adios, in Quechua, which is one of the many indigenous languages in Peru. Apparently in Quechua, people don't say necessarily goodbye, but until we meet again. The director, Bruno Ascenzo, originally wanted to make a travel type film that he was going to call mochileros, which means backpackers. But as time went by, the plot gradually turned into more of a romantic comedy kind of script, and so the title also changed. As you will see, though, the element of travel did not completely disappear from the final script. The plot is very simple. I'm not going to go into this very deeply because you'll watch the film in a few minutes. Salvador is the son of a rich Spanish hotel developer who travels to a little town in rural Peru with the intention of building a 5-star hotel there for his father's company. But once he gets to Peru, he gets acquainted with some of the local people who live there, and he also meets a woman, Ariana, that he is particularly attracted to, and from that point on, things just don't go exactly as he had planned them. The movie was released, as I say, in 2022 to mixed reviews. Some critics praised the cinematography, praised the performances of the entire cast, but other critics considered it kind of a missed opportunity to make a much more complex movie and not simply a romantic comedy. But, you can decide for yourselves what you think after watching the film. And finally, as you're watching the film, here are a few things that I would advise you to pay close attention to as you're watching Without Saying Goodbye. First of all, the differences in personality and worldview between Salvador and Ariana, the two main characters. What things are important to them in life? How does that affect the relationship that they're beginning? Then also the development of the characters. What changes do you see in Salvador, in Ariana, from the beginning to the end of the film? And why do these changes happen? Think about that. Also, the idea of travel in this movie as a metaphor for a changing personality and a changing worldview. How does backpacking with Ariana during the movie help Salvador see life in a different way? That's another thing to think about. And then finally, I will tell you, the movie was shot in beautiful natural areas in Peru, like Cusco, like Paracas, and includes wonderful shots of the beautiful Machu Picchu. And of course, this is a breathtaking landscape that would be very different from what Salvador is used to in Spain. And how does this, the landscape, the beauty of it, how does this affect him throughout the movie would be another, interesting thing to think about. But anyway, I've talked enough. I said about 5 minutes, and that's what I have done. So enough of me. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy this Spanish Club showing of Hasta que nos volvamos a ver from 2022, English title, Without Saying Goodbye.